what do you want to see more of in your field?
It's another one that I think I've thought about it a lot, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I think webcomics that have got a good, engaging story. Now, I've tried to read quite a lot of webcomics, and I don't find that there are sound horrible, but I think the story is not as engaging like the concept. I think a lot of stuff's quite derivative,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this might sound harsh, especially from my perspective. If people read my comic and find it incredibly derivative itself, I don't know, but it's like there's that freedom there with webcomics. Draw whatever you want, tell whatever story you want, to do something really different. I don't feel like enough people are tapping into that at the moment. Um, I think some of the better webcomics I've read have been just different. You know, like read it, it's really fresh. It's a fresh perspective, or it's a fresh story. Um, yeah, I think that's what I'd like to see more of.
How would people break the problem of being too derivative?
It's a very difficult one. I genuinely don't know. I know, like I've created a problem, but no idea what the solution is. But um, I'm trying not to sound like a dick, but
Please.
and yeah,
It
it's
helps.
like
It's the
sorry,
honesty. It's the honesty that not a lot of people
yeah.
are honest anymore.
Well, I think um, read a lot of stories, and like they sort of. I know there's only so many stories you can tell, and only so many ways you can tell the story, but it's like it's like that framework's already there, and they're not trying to change the actual story itself or the plot points about too much. They're just going through the motions. I think you can say about a lot of media now, like with films as well. It's just going through plot points that you've seen happen countless other times in other movies, and it's like challenge that. That's what I'd like to see. Like some of the better web comics I've read have been, completely off a tangent to that, like really unexpected, or you don't know what's going to happen. I hope this is making some sense, but yeah,
Oh yeah, I get you.
characters that are engaging as well. Like I think people tend to put a lot of time and effort into drawing characters that look really cool. They look good. They've got a really unique design. But then when you read it, do you engage with them? Like, what's the motivation and what are they going through? I know as I'm saying this, this is something that I've recognized myself in what I'm doing that I need to do more in, like show that motivation and get your audience um, in tune with the characters and following them through. Like find ways to build that relationship between the people on the page and the people looking at the page.
Would you say like earlier that really caught my attention was that earlier we were talking about what through marketing what catches the majority of people's attention. And I feel like that kind of bleeds over to the ocean that is how many people can make art, comics on the internet. And the more people you get, the more people show like how influenced they are. People like are getting their feet wet when
Yeah,
it comes to storytelling, and the first thing that we all know are the tropes of like the stories that we want to tell, but people don't realize how to make a story different, and I propose that what makes a story different is that it's coming from the individual, the storyteller, because
yeah.
people don't
Well,
think that.
that's it.
Yeah, the people
I
don't
think
really.
you've got it there. Yeah,
Yeah, people don't realize how different that they are. Like you can have a twin, but you can have a very different view of life, a very different perspective of life when
Yeah.
you look at the same story.
So yeah, making something that's personal, unique to themselves from their unique perspective.
Yeah.
I think yeah, that's what you've got to do when you're writing a character is like you've only got your perspective, so you sort of putting yourself in their shoes, but then you're trying to add on to that like their experiences in this imaginary world and their feelings to understand what makes them tick and how they would react to a
Hmm.
situation rather than just going, I need this character to do this to progress the story. You want them to feel real,
Yeah.
like
Are you
real people.
are you familiar with like this is gonna be a weird question. Might be. Oh, I'll just ask. Are you familiar with Naruto? That anime, the manga.
I'm not. No, my
Okay.
girlfriend's watched it. She watched it recently, and I think I've not read it. It's on my list to read,
Hmm.
but I've not got a massive amount of time. I'm
Uh,
making excuses up. I know
it's
it's
generally
really
about.
good.
I
Yeah,
like it won't I won't go like in too deep with it. Basically Naruto's about a kid who wants to become respected in his little ninja
yeah,
village. And within the ninja world, they have everybody's essentially a soldier. A soldier is like being like a ninja is like basically being a soldier for your clan, for your village.
yeah,
And the main character, yeah, like I said, the goal of the main character is to be respected because he's born from a very low position. Nobody
yeah.
likes him, and his goal is to just work his way up. And surprise, surprise, he gets what he wants. I'm sorry, spoilers. He gets what he wants at the end, and
Boruto and that too.
yeah, he has a kid. So I guess you know about Boruto. So he has a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
So I guess you got spoiled. I'm sorry. Um, but I was watching this one video of a guy who made a sort of a critique of the character of Naruto, and his
Right.
critique was Naruto didn't change the ills of the world that he lived in because the world that he lived in, it very much glorifies people being ninjas, and being a ninja is essentially being a soldier. And when you first go into
Yeah.
Naruto, like people want to be soldiers for their country at a young age, as young as like 13.
Right.
And the guy critiquing said Naruto should have changed this, should have changed the ills of being glorifying child slavery amongst other stuff, as in
Right.
experimenting on people and other dark themes that the story told. And I was like looking at his critique, and I had to laugh because I was thinking, are we looking at the same thing? It's like he
That's
didn't
the
want to
beauty
do
of it, isn't
that.
it?
Yeah,
Like different people can read different things from TV shows, films, comics.
yeah.
Um,
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say like I thought you were going to make a different point because it got me thinking. I've recently read One Piece.
Right.
Um, Said recently, it took me a long time to read it. Sort of started reading it not so recently. Um, but I think One Piece is universally acclaimed. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
thinks it's excellent. I'm not going to disagree there. But one
Absolutely.
thing that I'm going to sound really grumpy, but one thing that always irritated me a little bit with One Piece is how the majority of characters come on and they go, "I'm going to be king of the pirates. I'm going to be the best swordsman in the world. I'm going to go to the All Blue." And it's like one of the first things they do is go, "This is my motivation," and it's like I just feel like I I, I want that, but not as in your face. Like I'm going to spell it out for you, a
Like
bit more
who?
subtlety and
Yeah. Like who speaks like that?
yeah. But it's just like I remember. I don't know if it's because I've read it all in one go, but the number of times like Luffy's saying, "I'm going to be king of the pirates," and it's like it's just in your face all the way through that this is his motivation. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll get that or something similar, is it? And it's like, um, I think what I want to do when I'm writing a character is make them a lot more real.
Mm-hmm.
So like you sort of understand the character's motivation, but on a baser level, and maybe that motivation will change, but it's not going to change for no reason. You're going to understand the motivation behind the motivation changing. I
Hmm.
think that's something I've thought about a lot recently, and it's like as I've progressed through and drawn more and more chapters and started to learn not just about how to draw, but how to write and how to tell a story. You pick up new things. So I remember seeing a thread on this, like, oh, should I go back and redraw my earlier chapters? And someone said no, because you're always improving. If you go back and draw them now, you're gonna want to go back and draw them again
That's a really good
later.
point.
Uh, but I think for me, like I have improved enough that at some point I'm definitely going to go back and draw it, because like I can't. There's some of the earlier ones, like looking at people's faces, and now I thought a face was made up. I don't know how that happened. I mean, that's probably like continued up until pretty recently, I think. But it's all, as well as the actual the drawing of it, the artwork. It's the story and how that story is told. I think with me, what I want to do at some point is go back and add extra bits in, or change how some of um, the story develops, and like make it clearer what's going on. I think what another thing that annoyed me. I know I've already slugged off One Piece of
Hmm.
all like mangas slug off, but one thing that annoys me as well is when you're reading a comic or watching a film, and the first thing they do is go, "Here's a massive wall of text for you to read," and that will set the scene. I think they say show don't tell, but you get
There's
a
a
lot of stories start with that. Oh, it's the year X, and this is what's happening. I like to be thrown in medias res, as they say,
hmm
like in the middle of the scene. You don't know what's going on, and you sort of find out what's um, key to the story as you go, and the creator controls what you find out and when, and sort of tell it that way, rather than just like, right, here you go, here's a bit of pre-reading to set you up. You want that.
yeah.
I like the air of mystery. I like feeling like I'm going into a world to find out and understand what's going on, find out a bit about how these characters take, and what it is they want. And I think going back to what I said about One Piece, that's the thing that sort of sticks out a bit for me there, is the characters. The It's very obvious what they want. There's no sort of mystery around it. You know how they're going to react in certain situations, which is really good to a degree, but I find them a bit one-dimensional or two-dimensional at times. Oh, I'm gonna get slated for that opinion.
I understand. I understand.